Hello and welcome back. We're getting very, very close now to where Ololon arrives in Golgonooza. We're told again that war in Eden is a good thing. This time it expands it a little bit and says war and hunting is a progressive thing up there. And I think then of hunting then as in the search of hunting for truth. And it reminds me of the few lines in the book of Proverbs that I'll read. Um, if you truly call out to insight and lift your voice to understanding, if you seek it like silver and search it out like hidden treasure, then you will discern the fear of the Lord and discover the knowledge of God. I'll put a link to it down below. Now, the wars on earth mean that the daughters of Zelophehad are weaving a woof of death which extends all over the world. The woof of death can be looked upon in complete contrast to the loom of life that Ina Tharman and her daughters weave. Ololon, she gets to the polypus. Now, normally, an eternal cannot mess with the polypus. It means death. And Albion and his four sons, the Zoas, well, they've already made that mistake. Only a Jesus can traverse through this area safely. And Ololon apparently representing Jesus coming on the clouds of his glory um, can do it for that reason. And so she gets there. So let's see how it goes. Those visions of human life and shadows of wisdom and knowledge are here frozen to unexpansive, deadly, destroying terrors. And war and hunting, the two fountains of the river of life, are become fountains of bitter death and of corroding hell, till brotherhood is changed into a curse and a flattery by differences between ideas, that ideas themselves, which are the divine members, may be slain in offering for sin. O dreadful loom of death! O piteous female forms, compelled to weave the woof of death! On Camberwell, Tirza's courts, Mala's on Blackheath, Rahab and Noah dwell on Windsor's heights, where once the cherubs of Jerusalem spread to lamp its veil. Milca's pillars shine from Harrow to Hampstead, where Hogla, on Highgate's heights magnificent, weaves over trembling Thames to Shooter's Hill, and thence to Blackheath the dark woof. Loud, loud roll the weights and spindles over the whole earth, let down on all sides round to the four quarters of the world. Eastward on Europe to Euphrates and Hindu to Nile, and back in clouds of death across the Atlantic to America north and south. So spake Ololon in reminiscence astonished, but they could not behold Golgonooza without passing the polypus, a wondrous journey not passable by immortal feet, and none but the divine Saviour can pass it without annihilation. For Golgonooza cannot be seen till having passed the polypus. It is viewed on all sides round by a fourfold vision, or till you become mortal and vegetable in sexuality. Then you behold its mighty spires and domes of ivory and gold. And Ololon examined all the couches of the dead, even of Los and Enetharmon, and all the sons of Albion, and his four Zoas, terrified and on the verge of death. In midst of these was Milton's couch, and when they saw 8 immortal starry ones guarding the couch in flaming fires, they thunderous uttered all a universal groan, falling down prostrate before the Starry Eight, asking with tears forgiveness, confessing their crime with humiliation and sorrow. Oh, how the Starry Eight rejoiced to see Ololon descended! And now that a wide road was opened to eternity by Ololon's descent through Beulah to Los and Enetharmon. For mighty were the multitudes of Ololon, vast the extent of their great sway reaching from Ulro to eternity, surrounding the mundane shell outside in its caverns and through Beulah, and all the silent forbear to contend with Ololon, for they saw the Lord in the clouds of Ololon. There is a moment in each day that Satan cannot find, nor can his watch fiends find it. But the industrious find this moment and it multiply, and when it once is found, it renovates every moment of the day if rightly placed. In this moment, Ololon descended to Losendina Tharman, unseen beyond the mundane shell, southward in Milton's track. Just in this moment, when the morning odours rise abroad, and first from the wild thyme stands a fountain in a rock of crystal, flowing into two streams. One flows through Golgonooza and through Beulah to Eden beneath Los's western wall. The other flows through the aerial void and all the churches, meeting again in Golgonooza beyond Satan's seat. The wild thyme is Los's messenger to Eden, a mighty demon, terrible, deadly, and poisonous his presence in Ulro Dark. Therefore he appears only a small root creeping in grass, covering over the rock of odours his bright purple mantle. Beside the fount, above the lark's nest in Golgonooza, Luva slept here in death, and here is Luva's empty tomb. Ololon sat beside this fountain on the rock of odours. Just at the place to where the lark mounts is a crystal gate. It is the entrance of the first heaven, named Luther, for the lark is Los's messenger through the 27 churches, that the 7 eyes of God, who walk even to Satan's seat through all the 27 heavens, may not slumber nor sleep. But the lark's nest is at the gate of Los, at the eastern gate of wild Golgonooza, and the lark is Los's messenger. So, what is then this moment that Satan cannot find? It's a moment of inspiration, and if Satan found it, he would steal it. It doesn't just come about, it happens to the industrious searcher for truth. When the inspiration hits, it completely changes the perspective the recipient has about his or her life if it's used properly. Ololon's arrival in Golgonooza was just such a moment. She investigates the status of creatures here, including Losendina Tharman, because anyone outside Eden is in varying degrees less than fully alive. The inspirational moment starts with a perception in the senses, symbolized by the wild thyme, and the lines here seem to allude to the death, blood, and resurrection of Jesus. Then the lark, Blake's messenger of truth, takes flight. The rock of odours is like the wild thyme, a symbol of sensation, and carries the idea of sensing something good, like a revelation, or like a return of Christ. The lark symbolizes the carrying of the message of salvation to the last of the 27 churches, and shakes it from its spiritual stupor. Ololon at the tomb of Luva might allude to Mary Magdalene at the empty tomb when Christ is resurrected. The 7 Eternals who join the Watchers of Ulro at the start of the poem are joined with Milton, who becomes an honorary 8th member. A universal shout goes out to them for forgiveness, and the Starry Eight, they rejoice in the knowledge that the rift in humanity is being healed. Forgiveness goes out to all who Ololon represents, creating a passage from Ulro back to eternity. What Jesus is said to have done for mankind, Ololon has done for women for all time. We read, that the entrance to the first heaven comes through a crystal gate called Luther. Luther is the last on the list of Blake's 27 churches. We'll read the whole list very soon. The end of his era of Christian butchery marks the end of the reign of the churches, and religion restarts as it was in the time of Adam. So that's it for now. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.